Welcome to another episode of Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast. Listen up. We're a fucking podcast about mental health and recovery. And we're one of the best podcasts. We are the best podcast out there. Most entertaining podcast out there. So if you want to get some laughs, if you want to have a good interaction, good conversation, check us out. Jesse O.
Did you say mental health and addiction?
And recovery. Did I say recovery?
I don't know. I was zoning a little bit.
Recovery.
Okay. This week on Mr. Therapist and the Counselor Podcast, we're going to talk about the concept of quiet quitting. Not just quitting at our jobs, but maybe quitting in our relationships. Hell, maybe even quitting on ourselves or our clients.
Let's go. Why are you always laughing when we start?
I don't know.
We always say, let's pretend we're laughing
because we're talking about the same things over and over again. Not so much on the episode, the content of this episode, but like we talk about this whole like let it go. What is it? And that's let Frozen.
Let it go. Let it go.
We talk about our intro and what we're supposed to say. I'm a big component of here we go, and you're like, let's go, and I'm very controlling. Yeah. It's really not that big of a deal, but it's not going to really break us or make us. So,
it's not.
What's up, dude?
Not much, dude. Are you getting used to the intro already? Like, are you like feeling confident about the way we introduce ourselves and shit?
Yeah, I think it's good. I don't think I didn't lack confidence. You mean like the very beginning part?
I don't lack confidence.
You practiced that script for a very long time. You're starting to get it down, but now you're already changing it. You're not even getting a little time.
I just want people to know exactly like who we are, and I was like, sometimes you get lost in those words. So I'm like, this is what we are, dude. Like we're the most entertaining mental health and recovery podcast, and that's just what it is. I'm just calling it out. Yeah. So
what's new in your world?
What's new in my world?
Before we start the clock this week.
Kind of same old, you know, watching the playoffs.
Yeah.
Getting in there. You got a Super Bowl prediction?
I'm telling you, dude, it's going to be I'm telling you, Cowboys and the Niners.
In the Super Bowl?
In the Super Bowl. I got a feeling.
You want to make a bet on that?
Before we started recording, I was like, we should make our Super Bowl predictions. Because this will air after playoffs have started and before the Super Bowl. I was like, it's totally going to be the Niners and the Cowboys. And I totally slipped on that one. I know my sports. I know my divisions. I know my AFC. I know my NFC. Yeah, who is your Super Bowl pick, though?
My Super Bowl pick? I just hope it's not the damn Chiefs, you know?
Why do you... We could talk about this on a different time. You just don't want the Chiefs.
I just don't want the Chiefs. But probably the Ravens, you know? The Ravens would be cool.
Just make a prediction.
Really? I can't. No.
Yes, you can.
No, I
just pick two teams. It's really up to us. We're not gambling on anything. We're not betting.
Ravens, Niners, Super Bowl.
That's a pretty safe pick right there.
Yeah.
I'll go with Ravens.
You just like call me out, push me to make a pick, and then you judge my pick.
I'll go Ravens, Cowboys. That's what I'll do.
Ravens, Cowboys.
Yeah. Let's mix it up. It is crazy.
Cowboys haven't been in the Super Bowl for a while.
I know, so we just throw it out there.
It's a good bold prediction.
Thank you.
Yeah. What's up with you, man? What's going on with you?
Not a whole lot, so.
Okay.
Here we go.
Well, then let's go. Let's get into it.
Let's get the clock rolling. Yeah. You ready? I really don't have anything fresh to put out there. So.
Okay. You got a fresh haircut, though.
I got the mullet back. I don't know if I'm feeling it this time.
Can we see it?
It's very mullety right now.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Like, this is your authentic self.
This is really, I don't like not having my hair did on the podcast. But, I don't know if I'm feeling it anymore. I gave it a shot, and I was like, it's not my thing.
Yeah,
so.
Well, it looks good, man.
But it's nice to try things. Like, changes like that, haircuts, not a big deal.
Yeah.
You try things, go to your comfort zone.
It's a very like low key mullet. Like it's not like it's not it's not the
Joe Dirt party in the front.
Yeah, don't do that.
Business in the front, party in the back kind of style. No, so I gave it another shot and I was like, I'm okay with this one. Yeah. So we'll just see who goes. Maybe in a month I'll be like, I love it, or maybe I'll grow it out. So
we got some feedback.
Did we?
Yeah, we got some people that like what we're doing.
Yeah,
that just encourage us to keep going, to do the same thing, and I guess the content we're producing is pretty good.
That's great.
Yeah.
Not that you know what, I always, this idea of like giving yourself a pat on the back, like, or looking for a pat on the back, like, I feel like it's important to just be your biggest fan. You're also your biggest critic, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But it is nice to just get some. Well, feedback is great because that helps us and get better.
And I think
improve.
the way we're looking at it is like we want to make content for you. So like,
you, the viewer.
You.
Yeah.
And so the feedback is amazing. It kind of allows us to understand that we are going in the right direction. Like, and we're showing up authentically, just like us. And so
being true. Well, we'll continue to be true to ourselves. So, but yeah, any type of feedback. What do you call like people that are haters? They're like.
They're confused fans. Yeah, I heard that somewhere.
Yeah. So
cool.
So this week, on aren't we like the Casey and JoJo of the podcast realm?
Yeah, we are. Welcome. I
was gonna sing All My Life right now, but now I'm just not feeling it. But let's get the clock out. Do we have the clock ready?
We got
no clock.
No clock.
Actually,
I got a clock right here, bro.
I like to look at the clock. We'll just
let me
the
go
clock
get
out.
it.
I'll sing Casey and Joe.
Right.
All my life, I've been waiting for someone like you. I don't know the lyrics.
I'm gonna stay over here, dude. Just keep going.
How do you want it?
How do you feel?
That's a Tupac and Casey together. Right? Yeah. So, who's your favorite, Casey or JoJo? Can you tell them apart?
No.
All right, this week on Time Sessions, let's start the clock. This week, we're going to talk about something that was very prevalent that came out. You started to hear people say the statement, it's okay if you mix up Casey and JoJo. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
I've never seen them. Like,
seen them?
I've just listened to them.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. You've never seen if you're that's fine. It's okay.
Yeah,
it's not a bad thing. So
quiet quitting.
Quiet quitting. So that was something that was used. Okay, quiet quitting is a very popular phrase that started to come out, I think, in 2022. What do you know of quiet quitting? What was the first time you heard something like that?
I think it was about last year. I think I started hearing about it. What do I think about it, or what do I know about it?
What did you hear about it? Like, what was
quiet quitting? What's quiet quitting? It's like you're not quitting your job, but you're starting to do the minimum, right? You're starting to just get by, just show up as a protest to maybe not liking the culture, as a protest to maybe not getting paid what you think you're owed, not maybe feeling respected, not feeling like it's a good environment for you, and so probably. I mean, I'm sure everyone quiet quits even before they quit, right? Like, I've heard people talk about, like, if you have an employee that quit, that employee didn't quit there, and they probably quit, like, months ago. Yeah. So, quiet quitting is that process of just, like, giving up hope, I guess, in a company that you're working for. Yeah,
quiet quitting is, like, chronically disengaging in your profession, your job, and doing the bare minimum. So that was that came out. I started to hear that in 2022. I think that was like post-COVID as well. A lot of people were working from home for a while too. Then people had to start to come back to work, and I think maybe there was also a lot of people that weren't as motivated to return back to a job that maybe they didn't like in the first place before COVID, or maybe they just found that they could be just as like proficient like with their work at home.
Like, I mean, there's so many you save gas, right?
Yeah, there's all kinds of, like, I mean, there are negatives to working at home, but there's a lot of benefits, right? So people were starting to see, like, I could do this job. I don't need to drive into an office.
Your lifestyle changes too. I mean, some people even elected to keep their kids home because they didn't have to pay for extra daycare. They could do both jobs at the same time. It's, Yeah.
So then I was reading, so with that quiet quitting concept came the idea with managers. I feel like because so many people were unhappy with what they were doing in their jobs, or the whole concept of quiet quitting came out, and people were like, well, we need to like manage these people. We need to check in on our people. Checking in became like more like micromanaging. As I've even seen at my work, in my profession right now, like you have these meetings. You ever go to like these work meetings? And you're just like,
you gotta
okay. Well, you don't anymore because you're like an entrepreneur. You're on your own, right? But when you had a job, like you worked at a treatment center, you remember going to those meetings and you're just, what are you laughing at? But you go to these meetings. I'm gonna let him have his little moment here.
Have my moment.
Okay. So you go to these meetings, right? And you're like, I don't want to be. What are you laughing at, anyways? No idea. Just the case of the.
I think we're really funny, dude. I just think we're super funny.
That's it. Okay.
Super entertaining. Oh god.
He told me before we started this he's not drinking caffeine today, so these are side effects of like non-caffeine.
Oh,
Rally, bro, rally.
We got this, dude. I think I just needed to get that last one.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right,
Sorry, go ahead. Reset.
So you have these meetings at work, right? And you're trying to get your job done, and you kind of just want to get out of your job. You just want to go home. You want to finish the day. But you have more and more meetings, and people are just, they're tapped out. They're like, I don't want to go more meetings. You need to check in on me anymore. Like this concept of micromanaging as well. So what I read recently at the end of 2023 was that like a lot of people that are working, whatever the field is, they're starting to experience this, and they want managers, their employers, to quietly manage them, like kind of take a step back. Like, you don't need to check in on me.
Don't push us.
Yeah, don't push us, because sure, maybe we're unhappy, but listen, my current profession right now, I'm not too stoked where I'm at. I even said that some of my goals for 2024 was to make some changes professionally, right? So, but I also find myself like, if I'm there, kind of just, I don't want to say let me do my own thing, because if I'm doing the wrong thing, I most definitely want guidance and direction. But like, I like the autonomy of particularly what I do as like a group facilitator, working with clients. Like, I feel like I have a tact, a style.
Yeah.
And if you start telling me that, like, or hey, I need to change this style, like, you're almost taking, like, you're draining any type of love or passion I still have for this job or this profession. And it's sometimes those little things will keep us afloat in maybe an environment we're already drowning in. So I read that, and I was really like fond of that idea of taking a step back. Sure, if people are unhappy, you might want to see like, how can we make it better for you? But people are going to find a reason to get out of bed and go to their job at the end of the day. Yeah. I work with a lot of people that kind of say this is like, we got to remember what's important at the end of the day. And maybe at the end of the day, it's like when we leave at 4:30 or 5 o'clock, whatever the clock looks like for us at the end of our shift, what are we going home to? What do we need to take care of? What is our priorities?
What matters?
What matters. Sure. So you don't get micromanaged because you're on your own. But do you remember, I mean, how do you deal with somebody that's micromanaging you?
I mean, it's hard. You know, I think like micromanagement it's annoying. You know, it's especially, I think there's different types of people who respond differently to different leadership, right? And so for me, I think personally, I like having direction. When a leader gives me direction, tells me this is what you need to do, this is what I expect of you, this is how to do it. It's like, okay, like I kind of have this direction of like what I'm supposed to do. But I don't like, I guess, when I think of times I've been micromanaged, like people checking in on me all the time, or I understand it needs to happen, but at some point you want to know that you can develop a sense of trust, right? Especially if you've been a consistent and good employee, a good producer. I think, I don't know, I mean, throughout my jobs, I feel like I've been through seasons of quiet quitting, I guess, like where, you know, there'll be times where I'm super hyped. I go in there, I'm giving my all, doing my best. And then I'm like, dang, like I lose motivation, and I'm like, you know what? Like I just got to show up today and kind of do the best I can. I wonder if part of that is just the product of working for an hourly job, though, you know, because they don't pay you based on production.
No.
They pay you based on the amount of time you're there. And so, like, I think if I was paid based on production, which is kind of like what I'm doing now, then I would probably feel more motivated to work harder. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, our system has been designed for years and years and years that we have to work, let's say like 40-hour weeks. Yeah. And and I feel like it's changed so much. Yeah. I feel like we had an old coworker that was always about like getting 410s, and a lot of places do that, you know, different companies, depends on the field you work in, but like a lot of times, even
the motivation for that would be to have more time off, right?
Yeah,
like,
to have more time off. But that's where you're going to be more efficient, though. Yeah. If I knew, like, hey, if I got this much stuff done, like, because I don't care.
But for how long would that go? Like,
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
I can't answer that until that would actually happen.
It's probably, if I don't know, I think about it. You're right. I couldn't either, but I think about it would be a new change. Like if I were to work 410s at a place, like, oh, that's awesome, I get 3 days off. But that would get old at some point. And like, what is motivating me every single day to show up and do this? And I think that motivation is found easier if, you know, if I see 20 clients today, I'll get paid X amount versus if I see 10. And it's like if that is like if there is some incentive plan with that, oh yeah, dude, I'll show up motivated, like
Yeah.
for sure, you know.
Yeah. I also, with this topic, I wanted to shift into the idea when I heard the slogan or the saying of quiet quitting. At first I was like, oh, I've heard that about people going to their job and doing that. But then I thought about our field, being a therapist, being a counselor. And I wanted to ask you this question. Have you ever had a client before, and maybe in some ways, quiet quitting became part of the narrative with your relationship with that individual?
That's a tough question. I think more right now in private practice.
Are you worried about saying the wrong thing?
No, okay. I'm trying to be honest, I guess. Yeah. Because I think right now, I don't think I've had that experience, but less so in private practice than like at working for a company.
Okay, so maybe I can more lean on this topic a little bit because there's one thing that you'll probably hear in our field is you can't work harder than the clients, right? Yeah. So I will work at a program and we'll have people that come back multiple times because they have relapsed again on drugs or alcohol. And you might see somebody come in and you already start to see like the very same behavior, like the same pattern. Them returning to this program, going to detox again. In a lot of ways, it's just it's their cycle. This is what I know best. I go drink, I go use again. I go back in, I get detox. I'll do a program. They become accustomed to the design of this lifestyle. They've been institutionalized. But then that person's sitting in front of me again. Same attitudes, same behaviors, and I'm still trying to, maybe I'm sharing the same core message I said initially. Maybe I'm trying to change it up a little bit, different angles so I could work with them, but I'm seeing the resistance in front of me. I personally don't want to say like I quit on people, but let me take that back. Maybe in the moment, I want to quit on that person because I'm just like, why?
Because you're frustrated.
Yeah, you're quitting on yourself already. How can anything I do change you right now?
Yeah.
And I can't change you. You have to change you.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think that's what I was trying to get at is that like in treatment, that's probably seen a little bit more because, people are, sometimes they need to be there. Sometimes they're over inundated with treatment that like they're just burnt out and they're showing up to the hour of therapy not fully engaged or not like they're done talking about the stuff they've talked about for hours in group already. So yeah, it's definitely happened more. In private practice, it's different because one, people are coming in like they want to see you, right?
They've made an effort to like do this, to set this up. They might have called multiple people multiple times, and like finally they get in the door like, we're gonna try. I'm here for a reason. I have an objective. Yeah, so
they've had to cross a lot of barriers to try to get here. And then secondly, like if I'm quitting on a client in session in private practice, they're probably not gonna come back. You know what I mean? Like they'll probably feel that at some point, sort of like we haven't worked on something or we haven't moved from the conversations that we've had. So you're not going to keep paying for therapy. Like hopefully you're not going to keep paying for therapy if you're not moving.
I believe with your character as well, I think that you're going to be the type of person that says, hey, in some ways this relationship is stale or I'm not benefiting you anymore. This is an opportunity to like, I don't know what I can do for you, and maybe it's time to move on or try something else out. You've probably experienced that with clients.
I've had those conversations. Like I'll always ask. It's like, how are things going for you? Like, what do you think about your experience so far in therapy?
Yeah.
What has changed for you since you started coming here? Right. And we're always having that conversation because it's important. I can feel when we're having effective work. But then I also got to check with them that they're feeling like it's effective too, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, when you're talking about the treatment world or a 9-to-5 where you're not they're not working on production, you're not getting paid on production, it's a little probably easier to see some of this quiet quitting, right? Like,
well, yeah. I mean, I will say in the program I work too. So yeah, they come in. We are, I would say, not forced, but yeah, we are assigned to work with certain individuals. Yeah. And there's times when I will say, like, some people, I'm like, I know when I'm super motivated to work with somebody. And I think that's probably the biggest thing is you, like, sees some motivation within themselves, the client. And then you're like, wow, it motivates me too. Like, they actually want to change. But if you have that person that's coming in and they're just jumping through hoops or doing the bare minimum just because they have to, or they have to check a box, I'm going to feel that too. I guess that's part of my job in the sense I have to kind of mask that, not just kind of, I need to mask that to find any type of success in that experience. Or unfortunately, you could probably read my face. I still wear my emotions pretty much on my sleeve there, my heart on my sleeve, and like, I don't know. I don't mean.
Do you think that a part of it could do with burnout too? Like, because when you're working in treatment, you have to run a lot of groups.
You do.
And see a lot of clients, and so that, I mean,
I think
you get burnt out easily.
Based on this discussion here, I think it's more burnout. I don't think it's really burnout. I think it's just my personal preference in that experience of just like, I know you don't want this. I don't want, I think one of the worst things is you don't ever want to quit on anybody, right? People say that all the time. Like, I know when people are very successful, like, this person never quit on me. And you're like, fuck, that's really great. Because, like, I could see why a lot of people cut the cord on you because you were dragging them down with them, you know? So, like, so it's like you never want to quit on your friends and things like that. But, something we'll talk about eventually is, and we've talked about, is like boundaries. So, like, to me, it's not quitting. Like, I'm not saying I'm done with you altogether, but right now, distance is the key.
I like that. Yeah.
Go ahead.
I'll also say, like, my thoughts on quiet quitting is, at first, like, when you asked me about it, it rubbed me the wrong way because I'm like, I kind of, a part of me is like, I don't have respect for this concept of like not giving your all to a job. But then I thought about it. I'm like, okay, I've done it,
You've done it,
and
right?
Yeah, and it's because you're going through something or you're burnt out or you don't agree with like the culture or the values or how a company treats you. Yeah. And so I think in those aspects, I understand that it happens. And I think it's ultimately at the end of the day, it's responsibility on the person to like give their all at work, but it's also on the company to build a good culture, to build a culture that motivates, a culture that has sort of a meaningful purpose. Like, you're here, you have a purpose, you're important to us, and like to be like, if you are shown that as an employee, you're gonna want to give your all for someone,
Yeah, and listen, like pretty little things like pay and benefits and time off, all that stuff is vacation time. All this stuff's great, and like that most definitely will get people in the door. But you want people to stay, so I feel like that stuff is so important. Sure, there are people out there that don't need that. That's enough, and maybe I do. There's a level of respect that people could just go to their job and work it, not feel a fucking thing, and just like go home. But I work in a field where being genuine is key, and autonomy is key, and people see that. They see truth, they see honesty. So if that's not encouraged, and it's more like we need you to go back into the box and be like this, then I could see the struggle with that and why people just don't. They tap out and they're like, I'm not motivated to be here, but I'll do what I gotta do to get by. Yeah, so very true. I wanted to talk about like the idea of quiet quitting in relationships. You work, being a licensed marriage and family therapist, you work with couples. I mean, I've worked with couples and families, but do you see a pattern ever? You probably have, but like when people are in a relationship and one person in some ways has just quit. Maybe they're just there. Maybe they're just doing things for the kids. That's a popular saying. Like we stay together for the kids. So like, what has been your experience with that? And I guess I'll ask, like, once again, how do you handle it? But I know it's case by case. But like, just talk to me about your experiences with people quitting when one partner's out, but one partner's still trying to be back in. Yeah.
So I mean, with the quiet quitting, we're talking about a partner who is not necessarily trying to end the relationship, but they're in it. They're just not. They've given up on the ability, the idea of working on the relationship.
Yeah,
maybe,
like
right?
I'll say like I've experienced people that just are like, this is my role in my relationship now. Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out, because the roles change. Maybe big thing is probably kids coming into the thing. Like the dynamic changes, the intimacy could change. So it's kind of like, I'm not like I don't love this person anymore, but I'm trying to like find my role here.
Yeah, I mean, I think it happens. I see it all around. It's everywhere. It's in my family. It's like there's evidence of this happening all the time, and I think there's a lot of factors that contribute to it. One, like some people have tried so so many times to connect, to work on the relationship, and they haven't been able to figure out how to do it effectively.
Yeah.
So that eventually you run up against a wall so many times, right? It's like you can't just keep putting yourself up against a wall like that. So things can happen from that. There's just a culture like I know traditionally in my family, a lot of the culture is like, you know, you have your spouse, but then you go and you seek other women, and so it's like I think that's in a way quiet quitting, because you're in the relationship because you're no longer focusing on building your family, enriching your family. You're just kind of focusing on getting your own needs met. And so it's I think I see it all around, and there's probably different reasons why it happens. It's probably one of the big reasons why I'm so passionate about relationship work, because I know that I've sought, I feel like I've quiet quit in my relationship early on, and trying to seek some sort of happiness or fulfillment outside of the relationship by, I don't know, whether that's hanging out with friends, partying, putting my family aside to go do something that I want to do, or even chasing other women inappropriately. Like that, like there was this chase for something, but I know how amazing it is to be able to get that from your spouse, from your partner, when you can work on things. So, I think the quiet quitting thing is for sure. It happens in relationships. No one's ever talked about it that way, though, huh? Like, have you read about it in that term, or?
No, we just came up with it, bro.
This is fucking awesome.
Groundbreaking. No, but I will say, like, I was gonna mention as you were sharing, I thought about this as like heartbreaking thing. A lot of times when you hear a relationship is ending is when the partner has like no idea, like that this came out of nowhere. They ended the relationship. I didn't see it coming. Yeah. And I guess that speaks to that word in the quitting part. Like, okay, let's say you want to quit a relationship. You're unhappy.
Yeah.
Your needs are not being met. My hope is that in any relationship that is unhealthy, out of respect maybe to the partner, to the relationship, whatever the dynamic is, that you're not quiet about it. I think like any type of challenges that I have in my relationship, I bring them up.
Yeah.
Even if it's whatever it is, I think it's important to speak about your needs, how you're feeling, not being quiet about it. Maybe there's sometimes people just quit and they want to get out anyways, and they don't want to save it. But I think people might be amazed if they actually took the time and spoke up. Maybe things can change, because this is one thing we're really pushing here on Mr. Therapist and the Counselor is like being open and talking about things, being vulnerable. So I think some people maybe from past experience don't think like talking can take you anywhere, but it can. Yeah. It does open doors that you've never had open before. And maybe if you think a relationship is dead and there's no coming back from it, you could be wrong, dead wrong.
But bringing things up is important, and I feel like even if you do it, you come up against a couple challenges. One is like that it actually works when you bring something up to your partner.
Yeah.
It's not always going to work, right? Sometimes they're not going to hear it. You're not going to say it right, whatever, right? So will it work? And if it doesn't work, like, how do you not give up? Like, keep trying. Like, find some way to continue to have that conversation when you're not happy with things. And then secondly, be willing to ask for help, right? Like, go and talk to a therapist, talk to a counselor, talk to a religious counselor, another couple who's doing it successfully, and try to get some advice onto like how to make the relationship work. But don't give up. Keep open communication like you're talking about, and ask for help when you need it. Yeah, I think those factors are a big part of this too.
Yeah, so just don't quit on me.
Don't quit.
We're out of time.
Done.